morning, everybody. I call this session the Board of Division of Order. As directed by mental health, we're requesting that people avoid close contact with each other and stay within 2 meters, especially if anyone shows symptoms of a respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing. If you're experiencing flu symptoms, we're requesting that you excuse yourself from the room immediately. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. Our board this morning is composed of Mark Gorski, who's farthest to me, my left on the table here. Next to me is Carrie Dunkler, my name is Harvey Diamond. We'll be hearing applications for revision. The city assessor is Sylvetta Shable, and also later on will be appearing Mr. Despohamed. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rules in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision have been requested are described in each application, and we will limit the discussion to those matters. The statements of the applicants or the assessors to make at this hearing must be sworn testimony when speaking to those matters must be sworn in. Be advised that we do not accept comparative assessments of properties which do not consider evidence. Our board has been appointed annually by council and superintendent of it and the city administration. We make our application on the basis of the evidence that we hear, and we issue written orders that will be mailed to each party as soon as possible. Please note that our decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Municipal Assessment Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to an application for exemption from taxation, should a party wish to appeal. The information that will do so will be included with our order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed to each applicant following their swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and the applicant's testimony followed by the questions that the applicant may have. And we will give each party an opportunity to summarize if they wish to do so. Once the evidence on the application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The votes will be repeating for each applicant on the docket today. The session will end after all applicants have been heard, and our board will be in private and make our decisions. We shall be soon as soon as possible. Just to wish to make a note that we are appointed annually by City Council. We make our decisions on the basis of the evidence we hear, apart from we're not associated with City Council or the Assessment Department, and we're independent of it. Just let everybody also know that our secretary today is Kara Balshaw. Thank you.
So, Ms. Assessor, please state your name for the record.
Svetlana Shable.
And do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And Mr. Applicant, can you please state your name?
Rocky Newcomb.
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, our first matter that we're dealing with is 234 Donald Street, and Ms. Shable, you can go ahead when you're ready.
Well, that's withdrawn.
Yeah. Oh, that one's done? Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. The first hearing that we have is 3161 Portage Avenue, Ms. Shable, when you're ready.
File number 19-5789. Roll years 2020, address 3161 Portage Avenue, business ID number 25697. Owner is Crosstown Civil Credit Union Limited. We did assess business at total annual rental value of $135,660. The total area of premise 5,200 square feet. So our overall annual rental value per square foot $26.09. Premise was built in 2010. Premise area is 5,200 square feet. We assessed basic annual rental value of $23.64. Our occupancy cost $2.45, came around $12,740. Total occupancy cost how we came across our annual rental value, 135,660. On my brief, I did present 8 comparables or bank. Our subject property stand-alone bank. First comparables on Center Street. It's first 3 comparables. It's a new building, 2017-2016. Rent lease started 2016. With reported area around 4,000 square feet for $45 per square foot. On grant around 6,000 square feet for $32 per square foot. Another on grant around 6,000 square feet for $32 per square foot. My next comparables on Pembina, built in 2007, our subject property built in 2010. Lease started in 2017 with around 6,300 square feet for $32. My comparables on Roblin, years built 2007, lease start 2017, 4,500 square feet for $31 per square foot. Old building, bank on Regent Avenue, built in 1982, lease in 2007, around 5,700 square feet for $27 per square foot. Bank on Portridge, built in 2001, lease started in 2017, 6,500 square feet for $31. Our subject property on Portridge Avenue, our rent $23.64. And last comparables on Kivatian. Old building 1989, lease started March 2018 for 3,200 square feet for $25 per square foot. So our assessed base rent of $23.64 for the bank on Portridge, 2010 years bill is fair and should be fair. It should be confirmed. So our total rental value of $135,660 should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, any questions?
Yes. Have you inspected this property?
No, but I can describe this property from my information records.
Have you, do you have the notes from the last assessor's inspection?
I don't see inspection.
You said you can describe it. Did you describe the second floor?
It's a second floor. It's mezzanine. Second floor occupied 1,400 square feet. It's, yes.
And quality?
It's not, because main floor 3,800 square feet. So it's a mezzanine on top of office space.
So how is the quality described in your assessment?
It's average office.
Average. Comparable number 1, is that the Bank of Nova Scotia?
second. Yes, correct.
Are you aware,
It's new building 2017, rent for $45.
are you aware that at the Board of Revision, after the assessor received a copy of the lease, that he withdrew that as an example for rental properties for banks due to the tenant improvement allowance?
It's still on our records reported 3,800 square feet for $45 per square foot.
You don't have the lease in front of you and the tenant improvements?
No, could you provide list to us?
It's been provided to your office. Now, do you typically try to assess the rental value of tenant improvements?
This lease for $45 per square foot, we did assess only on $23.64. It's fair.
Correct, after the hearing, right? It's assessed at $28 and yet your lease is $45, correct?
My first comparables reported to us $45 per square foot.
But it's assessed at $28, correct?
It doesn't matter.
Sorry, you brought it up,
This reported, it's market evidence.
but you brought it up, not me.
I brought it up that it's market evidence, lease reported for Scotiabank, $45 per square foot, around 4,000 square feet.
Did you have an opportunity to review the Board of Revision order on the realty for the subject property?
It was reduction, but I cannot comment on past hearing of which I was not part. And plus business assessment, it's the NOAA hearing.
So you didn't look at the order?
I look in the order, but I cannot comment.
Those are my questions, thank you.
Ms. Duclair, do you have any questions?
Yes, Ms. Schlegel, are your comparables, are they all financial institutions?
Yes, all bank I can mention. First comparable Scotiabank, second comparable Cambria Credit Union, third comparable Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, next comparable Bank of Montreal, TD Bank Group, Bank of Montreal, TD Canada Trust, Assiniboine Credit Union.
Okay.
It's similar to subject property because it's standalone banks.
Okay. Do any of them have a second floor?
Usually some bank has second floor, some doesn't have.
I'm sorry, Svetlana, could you repeat?
Some standalone bank has second floor, some doesn't has.
Okay. So can you say which of your comparables do have a second floor?
No, I cannot talk. I cannot say about it.
Oh, okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Okay, Mr. Marisky, any questions?
Yes. How many floors is this building?
This building has second floor mezzanine,
It's a two-story building.
two-story building. When some bank has open space to the roof, and on top of office building on main floor, we have mezzanine.
Is that open space accounted for in the square footage?
No,
You said
it was our plan area 3,800 and rest mezzanine.
you said that the second floor was 1,400 square feet
Correct.
that was occupied. Is the 1,400 square feet the total square footage of the second floor?
5,200.
Oh, no, just of the second floor.
1,400.
And so the remainder is actually on the first floor. So the second floor is not as large as the first floor. Is that
Correct. Yes. Mhm.
Your comparables, even if you happen to take out the first one of them, are all around $31, or they certainly would probably still average around $31, or median would be much the same. Your base ARV is $23. Why is there such a large discrepancy?
It's my point that we assess usually a standalone bond between $25 for all building and $32 for similar to the subject property. We assess at $23.64. It's much low of my comparables. That's why assessment should be confirmed.
Well, I see that. I'm asking you, why is it so much lower? The model takes comparable properties, comes up with a model rent.
Yes, it's assess for location and comparable around. On Portridge, my comparables on Portridge Avenue, it's all built, no, it's 2001 was leased for $31 per square foot, but it's a bigger area, 6,500. So in our case, we can go for increase.
Did you
But
find,
I asked to confirm existing assessment.
did you find no comparables around $23?
Yes. And usually if it's part of a shopping mall, it will be around $15, $18 per square foot.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your answer.
If a bank, part of a shopping mall, not standalone bank, this lease will be $18 or $15 per square foot. By standalone bank, $30 for sure.
Okay, so here's my question. For standalone bank comparables, you found none of them around $23. They were all around $31, more or less, quite a bit higher than the subject.
Yes, I find only on Kivatian $25 per square foot. It's close to $24 what we assessed. So that's why I didn't want to go for increase. It's in bracket.
Okay, those are my questions.
Okay, Shane, I'm looking at your second last comparable at 3260 Portage Avenue, which is very close to the subject property.
Correct?
And I see that it's built earlier, so it's an older building. I see that it's 6,500 square feet, so it's bigger, so there'd be economies of scale. It has a much higher rental rate at $31 as opposed to what this property is assessed at. Can you
Yes, in my case.
tell me why a comparable so close would have such a discrepancy? What is with this property that it sets it apart from your second last comparable?
Because usually my Portridge, it's $31. If I will apply this market evidence to our subject property, lease should be higher, around $32 per square foot. But usually our assessment on low side of the bracket of market evidence usually. That's why it should be confirmed.
The property at 3260 Portage Avenue, does it have a second floor?
1 second, I will check. It doesn't have second floor.
Is it?
It's one floor, floor building with drive room.
For Mr. Neufield's questioning, I note that this matter was heard, this property was heard, insofar as realty is concerned, by our board earlier, and there was an order to decrease the valuation of the taxation on the realty side.
Sorry, could you repeat questions?
Yeah, I'm saying that from Mr. Neufield's questioning, I note that it appears this matter was before our board on the realty earlier this year. Correct?
Okay, cannot find. I don't have this information. I just showed you market evidence, how much it's rent actual.
You don't know what happened with the realty then?
Hmm?
You don't know what happened with the realty then? You're saying you don't have information?
No, I cannot say right now.
Okay, well, I'm sure Mr. Neufeld will be alluding to it. Thank you, that's my question. Okay, Mr. Neufeld, when you're ready, you can proceed.
Thank you. Firstly, first time I've seen these assessors comparables, I can tell you that 30 Center, as I mentioned in questioning, did have tenant improvements in amortized in the lease, and I represented that property at Board of Revision, and the rental rate is $28, the actual real estate rental rate, and that's what was put on it at Realty as well, and not appealed by either party. Comparable number 4 is one of our managed properties, and that property also has tenant improvements amortized in the lease. And when it was first built, that rate was $10 a square foot. So the issue with the tenant improvements is if you have the data and it's clear and it's for the first period, it's fine. You can adjust it and use it for a comparable, but you're better off not to rely on anything that has a tenant improvement. Moving to the subject property, the board order is on page 3. And I think this is a really simple one to calculate because they were clear on the cap rate. And in this case, there was a land value added to it. And using the assessor's parameters is an overall rate of $20.38. Now, of course, this was our property at hearing, and I think the number is $28 on the main and $12 on the upper. So when one looks at that number in regard to the true numbers of banks, even the assessors, other comparables, it's right in there. Incidentally, the mean of the 6 remaining non-TI impacted comparables is $29, and I'm asking for 28 to follow the order. And the second floor, as I mentioned, I think it was $12 that was placed on it. And the problem that we've had with this property going back 6 assessment cycles is that the assessment department has a copy of the plans, and they've never sent somebody out to look at the as-builts. The original plan was to have a conference room in the upper floor. The actual as-built was shown on my pictures beginning on page 7. There's top of page 7 is the lunchroom, the bottom is the storage room, and page 8 is the storage room. That's the upper level space, so it's storage quality. And you can see unfinished ceiling, open deck, and that's why that's why I think the number at, I believe it's 28 and 12. Now, the math might be a bit off. It could be $29.09 or $30.07. I'm talking about the splits. We're not quite sure on what they ended up deciding, but it was the storage quality on the second floor and not so much a disagreement on what rent should be applied on the main floor. I believe we actually had the same number at the hearing on the main floor. It was just the upper space, and then the cap rate was at issue and the excess land was at issue. And I forgot to check this morning, but I don't think either side appealed this case either. I don't like the excess land, but it was such a small marginal amount that we let it lie. And so my request is to follow the $20.38 is beyond doubt what that board chose. It's just an allocation of storage versus bank. So we request that value be carried forward, and that comes to $118,720. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions, Ms. Shadlow?
Yes, please. Please open page 2 of agent evidence. And we look on first picture of property. You would agree that access land take 50% of whole property?
No, the excess land is a small pad, potential pad site at the rear, and it was a rather small, inaccessible parcel that had two caveats on it, one for cross easement access and the other for superstores controlling the first running 20 feet, no build zone, and not anywhere near that. It was a very small parcel, and in the calculation on page 3, we have taken into account what the board decided that value was.
Please open page 4 of agent evidence. Could you please show us, point us comparable for the bank, standalone bank?
We're not relying on those. Those just paint a picture of the market area. We're relying on the board order that has already been debated and decided by this board.
You would agree that you didn't present any market evidence about bank?
The market evidence was presented at the previous hearing, and in addition, as I mentioned, the assessor's information, taking out the two properties that have tenant improvements in their leases, supports the number that was applied on the main floor.
You would agree that this hearing, de novo, and we see all market evidence presented again, correct?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
You would agree that today hearing, it's a de novo hearing, and we should see all market evidence supporting your value.
Well, the concept of de novo is a right, not a requirement. I chose to exercise my right, which is to not re-argue the same case that was already been decided on November 19th and not appealed by either party. It just seems to not make sense to, unless somebody has something new to add, new evidence to this board, why would anyone expect the board to change their mind on their previous decision? And what the assessor has brought forward is, I think, the same evidence as that hearing. So, the concept of trial de novo is to give parties a right to bring in new evidence, not simply go back and rehash old evidence. Now, all the assessor has done is rehash old evidence. And again, trial de novo, nobody has exercised that right, in my opinion.
Thank you. No questions.
Okay, Mrs. Sinclair, any questions of Ms. Unico?
I have no questions, thank you.
Mr. Boraski, do you have any questions?
No questions.
And I don't have any questions either.
Okay, as long as I got the definition of trial de novo right,
Okay, I can step ahead. Thank you.
all right.
Okay, so Svetlana.
Okay.
Okay, so we're next dealing with, I guess lots 1 to 12 in block 5. Yeah, you're interested in this one? Okay.
Guess I should read some.
Okay, so Mr. Agent, come up. So Mr. Assessor, please state your name.
Arif Dasmaham.
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's item agenda number 5. And we go,
Sorry, and I'm having trouble finding the documentation.
I am too.
I don't think it was submitted, but I
There was
was just gonna
nothing
do a
submitted for the
recommendation.
applicants.
I'm gonna do a recommendation.
Okay. And how about from A and T? I don't see that either. That's one. 5206, sorry. I'm sorry.
So please state your name.
Sure, it's true.
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
So it'll be item number 5, so 05-19-6.
Portrait Avenue?
okay, Jeff, okay.
Okay.
Okay, when you're ready, Mrs. Spillane, go ahead.
All right, good morning, everybody. Board Revision File Number 19-5206. Roll year is 2020. address is on Portage Avenue. It's a piece of land that the Vicar Shovels is using to park their cars, I guess, access cars. And business ID is 7605. We had a total annual rental value of $36,000 on it, and that was based on 100 stalls at $10 per stall. But it looks like after the appeal was filed, I did some research on it. I think this is classified incorrectly. It should be included in the roll on the main site, Vicar Shovel. So we're just asking for a recommendation, or sorry, a confirmation of 0 ARV, and there'll be a supplemental file for that.
And we accept. Thank you.
That's acceptable?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, any questions, board members?
Not now.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And we'll then go to the last item that on the docket is 1963 Logan Avenue.
Okay, great. So Board of Revision file number 20-30, roll year is 2020, address is 1963 Logan Avenue. Business assessment ID is 54959. We're assessing a total annual rental value of $151,620. That's based on the area of 16,588 square feet. We're utilizing an overall ARV of $9.14. If you look underneath that, our calculation, our base ARV is based on $6.69, which gives a base ARV of $110,974. Mr. Jarrett Story and I had some discussions. It appears that the whole building is not air conditioned. Only 3,100 square feet is air conditioned. So if you make those adjustments, the total occupancy costs come to $36,055. That brings the ARV down to $147,000. Underneath that is our comps. If you look at, well, there's 6 comps there. If you're looking at comparables that look exactly or similar to the building, it's 1450 that looks similar to the building. I couldn't find comps that were large and 1-story for 16,588 square feet, but I included all those because those are the spaces that have been rented out. If you turn the page, there's the map, page 2, and underneath that is the overhead view of the building. Now, it is owner occupied, but I'm not sure why they're saying that it's a net lease, gross lease. And then on the last page is from, sorry, 2016 was the page 3, the income expenses from 2016. So it was also owner occupied then, and then on 2017 it's owner occupied. You can see there's a difference in rent, and this time they don't say it's a net lease, but it is owner occupied. So we're asking for confirmation of $147,000 ARV. And I'm open to questions.
Thank you. Mr. Story, any questions?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so on your page here, it says owner occupied. No, but we do understand that it is owner occupied.
Yeah.
Indeed. Okay, and we've clarified the air conditioning scenario. Now, there is a realty decision on this property. Did you review that in preparation for this exercise today?
I reviewed the one previous. I didn't review the 2021.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
The 2020.
I reviewed the I guess this was under appeal for 2019, and we worked on the 15 one. So
Right.
I reviewed that one.
For the realty.
Right.
Okay, so you didn't review the realty decision.
No, I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, it's in my evidence. We can talk about it. That's fine. But these, so just so we're clear, our position was accepted at the board based on an 8.3 cap and an adjusted NOI. Now, I guess to your knowledge that you don't know that has or hasn't been appealed by the city?
I don't know. I'm not sure who did the appeal for it, or who was the appraiser or the assessor for it.
Sharon Tang is listed as the assessor. Okay, so these comps, though, I went through the assessor's evidence. These are not the comps that were used. So
No.
you chose these yourself?
Yes, I did, and I chose them because they were larger rented spaces.
Okay.
And like I said, 1450 Wall was the one that would look the most similar to.
Yeah, I know that property. Now the land to building on the subject is about 1.6 to 1. Is that correct?
Correct. It's zoned M1. M1 does not require a lot of space because most of the operation is inside the building.
And an industrial zoning of 1.6 to 1 would be considered obsolete by today's standards, would it not?
No, it's zoned M1. So I'll just give you the definition of M1 zoning. Light manufacturing district is intended to provide for light manufacturing, processing, service, storage, wholesale and distribution operations, with all operations contained within an enclosed building with some limited outside storage.
Okay, so we're clear. Our subject is a storage warehouse, effectively. The vast majority of the building is a storage warehouse. They store transformers there, and there's 3,100 square feet of office space, and that's the air conditioned space. Is that correct?
The 3,100 air conditioning, yes.
Okay.
You gave me the figure.
Now, the wall heights on our subject are 16 feet. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. Now, as a general question on these comps, since they are new, I'll ask you about them. Do we have the land to building ratios on any of these?
None in front of me.
Okay. Do you know the ages of any of these buildings?
I don't have, when I was looking for comps, I had that all in front of me, but now I don't.
Okay, so then it's safe to assume that we don't know the percentage of office space to warehouse space in these comps.
It would be similar, like I said, when I was searching for comps, I was looking for similar comps.
Okay, just very quickly, one, I didn't see 380 Kuwait, and I'm not sure about that one. Number 2 is the strip center across from the casino, the Hope Street Station Casino. And that wouldn't be categorized as a storage warehouse, would it?
Just the rental super center in there could be.
Okay. Number 3 is West Logan Place. I'm fairly well aware of that property. That's a renovated space in Woodlands Creek Industrial Park, correct?
I can't, sorry, yeah.
It's okay, okay.
No, I don't have it in front of me.
And number 4 is also renovated. I'm acquainted with one of the tenants in that building, and they have a number of loading doors in the front and then a number of loading doors in the back. So that appears to be renovated as well, certainly from the outside. Now, number 5 is interesting. That's a 2-story office building.
Correct, yeah. And I chose it again because, well, it's in industrial, so it's zoned industrial.
Yeah,
and I chose it because it has similar square footage.
Okay, but it's present use. It's Life Touch, people who do the
It's in an industrial.
And then there's a child and family service office in there, so that would not be considered a storage warehouse. And then number 6, are you sure that that's not owner occupied? Trying to figure out if that's a book lease.
We went by the income expense statement. That's how we got our comparison.
Okay. Okay. I suppose those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions of,
I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Mareski, you have any questions?
Yes. You described M1 zoning,
Right.
a variety of things. Are any of those things not likely possible on the site, and does that have an impact on the rent?
When it's zone M1, you're not really seeing semis come through there. There's no need for loading docks.
Did you not say distribution? You included distribution?
Distribution operations, but I mean, it's M1 zoning allows for some storage outside, so it doesn't need to be a big space to land to building ratio. Yeah.
My only question.
And I don't have any questions. Story.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so this is 1963/1975 Logan Avenue. Again, it is an owner-occupied building. We've established it's got a small land to plan area and short wall heights, 16 feet. And it is a manufacturing and storage warehouse just west of Ada Street. It's east of King Edward in the Brooklands industrial area. The improvements were constructed in 3 stages from 1954 through 1971. The leasable area for all of the improvements is 16,588 square feet. And again, the lot is 27,500 574, and as we've established, it is zoned M1. Okay, so we consider the age, the wall height, and the land to building ratio negative influences affecting the subject. And we do note that the property was purchased by the present owner for $820,000 in September of 16, and we believe that this price represents the upper limit of value of the property, since the purchaser owns the adjacent site and was motivated by potential to agglomerate some of their activities. So I present to you the comps that were used in the realty decision. These are all the same, so these have been discussed. Now, we recognize that these are, some of them are smaller, some are larger. We're showing a snapshot of the market, and again, these were discussed at the Board of Revision. And the rent, now what's interesting is I have the decision, and it's suggesting that the decision is based on an adjusted NOI with a cap rate of 8.3%. Now, we were advocating for $5 per square foot at the hearing. Again, that's based on the age and utility of the property. But when I went back and tried to calculate how the board arrived at this number, it's sort of interesting. I come to two possible scenarios, and that's either the 5% was included, and if it was, then the rate is $5.15 per square foot. That gets you to about $864,000. And if the 5% were omitted, then the rate would have been $4.95. So it does not seem completely logical that the board would go with $4.95 if we were advocating for 5. So I've applied a rate of $5.15, which is in accordance, in my mind at least, with the realty decision. So with those factors taken into consideration, and again with the air-conditioned space being 3,100 square feet, we come to a total ARV for this tax cycle of $121,440, and we do respectfully submit that that the BA follow the realty decision that has not been appealed. Thank you very much.
Mr. Westman, have any questions?
Yes, just looking at your comps on page 7, this is the first time I'm seeing them. All your comparables are, besides for 3, are very small, 6,000 or less, and the subject is 16,000.
That's correct. There's a variety of uses of quality of finish. So I believe the agent who presented this was showing a snapshot of the market, and again, these have been these were accepted as part of the realty. So you can talk about them, but they are, as we've discussed, there's a variety here showing the general market. And I will suggest that I did go through these yesterday, and I looked at all of them, and I will suggest that ours is objectively in poor condition.
So comp 1 is 10,000 square feet. It's at 750 and it's zone M1.
Yeah.
Comp 2 is zone M2 and it's at $7 and it's 24,000. And comp 4 is 21,000 and it's also zone M2 and it's $695. So just wondering where you got the $5.15.
Right. So the M2 zoning provides a higher degree of use, as we've established. You said that M1 would be the light manufacturing, that'd be the lowest degree. You can also see that the wall heights in those that you just mentioned, most specifically number 1.
But I was just wondering where you got the $5.15.
Yeah, I think that now I'm presuming, because I was not the agent who handled the realty, and again, this was accepted by the board. I think what we've done here is we've shown the universe for this type of space as best we can, and made a downward adjustment. Keep in mind, this space is utilitarian for the owner. This is utility space. This is not space that's leased to the market.
Thank you, Mr. Marsky. Any questions?
Yes. You're using $5.15 as rent.
Correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like what you've done is taken the realty decision.
Mm-hmm. The
only real known figure in that was the cap rate. The NOI was recalculated using a certain cap rate that order said.
The parameters that are included, the shortfall, the vacancy, those are not disputed. So when I went back and I looked at, there's only 2 variables that can be changed, and it's either the 5% or the rent. And it's not likely that the 5% would have been adjusted to 3% or 2% or something like that. It tends to be an all or nothing thing in the decisions. So when I went back and calculated it, if you take the 5% out, it's $495. If you include the 5%, it's $515. And those are the only 2 variables that would have been in dispute. We weren't arguing vacancy. and we weren't arguing shortfall or anything like that. So those would be the two places where things would have changed.
And you're saying that using the revised cap rate, and if 5% was not included,
Correct.
then it comes out to a rent of $515.
No, if the 5% was not included,
Yeah.
then it's $495. If the 5% is included, then it's $515.
$495.
Yeah.
If in,
And the reason that I'm using $515 is because when I saw these two scenarios, and I saw that we advocated for $5, I don't think the board would apply generally unless something happened at the hearing. So I think it's reasonable to use $515 in that scenario.
okay, thank you, that's my question.
Questions?
And I have no questions.
And the realty decision, do you know if it's been appealed by the city?
To my knowledge, it is not. It's been accepted, so.
Okay, thank you. That's my questions. Thank you.
Wonderful.
So I believe that concludes the agenda this morning. You'll be hearing our decisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.